welcome to this week's video. As you can tell, I'm sitting in my car in the snow. Yeah. Which I feel like it gives an ambiance. We're actually getting like a snowstorm apparently. But I wanted to sit in here for this video because I'm going to be talking about Beans, which is the name of my car. So, me Beans. Honestly, I feel super legit now that I have this little microphone thing. It's pretty groovy. This is Beans, my Subaru Outback 2018. She is sexy. I got her a couple months ago, like close to the end of October. Since then, I have already driven out west and back in her. That was kind of like spontaneous road trip kind of thing. So I have put some kilometers on her, and I had spent close to like a month sleeping and living out of it. Okay, so why did I get a Subaru? And why did I get an Outback? And why did I name it Beans? I'll let you know at the end of the video why I named her Beans. Try to figure out why I named her Beans, and I'll reveal at the end of the video. So I didn't really know what I wanted until like 2 weeks before I got this car. It's really funny because I mean, I started to think a little bit more about what I wanted and like watch YouTube videos of what other people had, and it's really funny because my dream was always to do like van life. So, you know, ideally get some shitty van and like totally deck it out. And I was kind of thinking about that, but first of all, the idea of even driving a cargo van or one of those Sprinter vans around in park, like I can't, like I only just got comfortable driving this past year, so I already could see myself being uncomfortable having such a big vehicle, let alone like the price of having something big like that, not only just to buy it and set it up, but to also put gas in it and like fix it. Gas prices these days are not road trip friendly. So I was trying to think like, how could I get the bang for my buck in all ways possible, which is hard because I don't know much about cars. I wanted to be able to get to the places that I needed to go, you know, like back roads, logging roads, all that kind of stuff, while also having the space to like actually sleep and live comfortably and have all the things that I want with me. I just wanted to be able to also navigate winter roads well and feel safe and all those things. So then I started kind of, you know, looking towards like Subaru. I always heard they were like pretty decent cars and like all-wheel drive and whatnot, so I started kind of looking towards that, and I got pretty sold on them right away. And it's definitely, I'm so influenced by, dude, that car dealership must have loved me. I was eating it up. They're like, smart people drive Subarus. I was like, yeah babe, that's me. Take my money. Yeah, those videos where you see Subarus driving up mountains in like Mars. I was like, yeah, okay, that's exactly what I want. So I obviously looked a little bit more into it, but I also realized that like I don't know shit about cars in the first place. I knew that the used car market is pretty shitty right now. Everything's so expensive. So the more that I looked at vehicles, the more kilometers they had for like a pretty bad price. Like I think I need to make a big girl decision and just go with something newer. I mean, this car is like used. I bought it with 65,000 kilometers on it. So I wanted something that, you know, like I didn't want to work on for at least a few years. I'm not the kind of person that can get a used vehicle that's like pretty rough and be confident that I'd be able to handle whatever comes my way mechanically. I'm a big girl now, so I have to, you know, pay for mechanics, and I can't always rely on people to, you know, check my cars and stuff for free. So I was like, honestly, I just want to feel confident in what I'm driving. I don't really have a lot of I haven't had any really big girl purchases, so I was like, let's get a car, and let's get a good car, one that I'm gonna like driving, one that I'm going to feel comfortable with, you know, and one that is worth the money in my opinion. I was really just like so like F it. I was like, why settle for nothing less than what I want right now? I was treating myself. I was like, you know what, I can get approved, throw some roof racks on there. You know, honestly, I just did some looking around, and I felt like Subaru really emphasizes the like wilderness aspect, and like that totally appealed to me, and their safety and all that. So I was like, why not? I really don't have any much more information to work with, so I went with that, and yeah, I feel pretty good. The length of my car is so nice when it comes to, I mean, first of all, sleeping, like what I wanted. I could stretch out, lay out, I can put anything back there. It's really nice. The seats go down. So yeah, basically what you're hearing is I spontaneously bought a Subaru Outback. There wasn't much thought into it. I was like, you know what? This feels really good. I like the color. When I took it for a test drive, I have never test driven a vehicle. I didn't even want to because I didn't even know if I was going to be approved. Like, it's an emotional roller coaster at car dealerships. You're treated special. So then I was like emotional because I had very little expectations for when it came to a vehicle. Honestly, what I was looking for is just some kind of screen in the middle for my maps, because I hate looking off my phone, and yeah, that was like luxury. I didn't really have anything else. Maybe good with gas. That's like very, very simple stuff, right? When I test drove this vehicle, I was like, oh, so sexy. I'm gonna be like one of those people that are like in a relationship with their car. Just kidding. But I test drove it and I was like, wow, I understand. I understand now why people like cars and like get excited and buy the newest car on the lot. Like, I was hooked. And so when she told me I was approved for this freaking car, I got up, stood up, and I was like, yes. Because I was like, first of all, they let my ass get a car. Like my first setup in the back was very simple. It was just flat with the seats down, which is technically not flat. It was like the trunk, and then these were the seats while they were down. So I was kind of sleeping on this weird angle, and it was not a comfortable one where you're like, oh, I'm a little propped up, it's good. It was not an ideal angle. And then what I actually ended up doing was taking some of those like foam squares and cutting it out so that I had this softer like underlayer, and then I had a single foamy, and then like my sheets and bedding and stuff, and then beside me I had this like little table milk crate situation where I also put my clothes in. So very simple, just like, you know, in the back, whatever. And it was really uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for many reasons, because I need more than a single bed set up. I was trying to stretch my feet out in all which direction. I can't sleep just like mummy style. That's like really hard when it comes to me. I need to be able to roll around, and I didn't have that space. And that was really hard because sleep is so important, especially when I was driving like 8 hours a day. I was really not getting the best sleep, and that's like one of the main things you're using your car for. If you're doing this, not like if you're a fucking normal person. But, you know, you want your sleep setup to be good. But I'm glad I had this trial so I can build on it. My original, I mean, how I've always wanted to do it is what I'm doing now. I'm putting plywood in the back. I'm building it up a little bit, because another thing I ran into was space. When I like I got really lazy and overwhelmed at most points in my trip. So I would like finish cooking and I would eat in my car, and I had that little table, and I would just like shove my pan and stuff. I didn't want to deal with it. So then eventually I was just like sleeping with like my Coleman stove beside me and like cuddling a tank of propane. And everything just got muddled together. I think I had way too many clothes, and like that's totally predictable when you're doing this kind of thing. But the way that I'm going to do it now, even with like 5 inches of space underneath my platform, it's just going to help so much more with organization, because there wasn't even maybe storage. It was so unorganized. So yeah, that's what I didn't like about my original setup. Yeah, so I have like about 5 things that I didn't really like. One was the uneven sleeping surface and just lack of cushioning. Like I felt like I was Princess in the Pea, but like it was Haley in a Subaru. And then the lack of like, I wrote down space. I wouldn't even say lack of space, I would just maybe say lack of organization, you know? And like, I think maybe 2 go hand in hand together, because really to be organized, you have to have the space to put stuff there. So I also just didn't have a place to really cook. Like I was really using picnic tables. At one point I just had my hatch open, and I was like cooking in my trunk, like with my foamy rolled up, and I was like, okay, this was a stupid idea, and it was awkward. So rainy days I found really depressing, because I didn't have a space set up where I could do something other than lay down. So in the back I did have that little table thing, but it was really uncomfortable. Like I was like sitting like this, and I was like trying to draw, and my front seat was filled with a bunch of shit. So I was like really unorganized, and I think that made me really unhappy. Like I wasn't comfortable in my car. I really want to create a space where I'm comfortable in it and it feels cozy. So this time around, I've seen some really cute mates where one of the back seats is actually up, and people call it their like living room area, which I love. So, and then you can have like this little table, so you can sit up, read comfortably, and all that. I'm not gonna do that in the back, because I don't know much about like woodworking and stuff to get that creative. So I just want to make sure that my passenger seat is cleared out, so on days where I just feel like sitting, I can go into my passenger seat. So my current plan is to have a elevated platform, and I wish it was a bit nicer out so I could take the camera around and show you. I'll show you a bit more. But I'm going to have this elevated plywood platform so that I can fit they're like 5.5 inch tall containers underneath. So I got 2 of those, and that's also going to even out the surface between the trunk and the seats when they're folded down. So I'll actually have like a flat surface to work with, and then I'm going to put a 2 or 3 inch foamy on top, so that it's just all sleeping room, and I can store some things underneath. And it's not going to be a whole lot of things, like I know that will create some sense of organization. Like if I put my Coleman stove and my propane and stuff underneath there. I was also thinking of doing some kind of fold out table, or even just a table that's tucked underneath the platform. That's kind of like the goal, is to have this raised platform. That whole thing is going to be my bed, which is also going to be really nice, because I found when I got up in the day and I had a full day of driving ahead, I had to like make my bed, but then I had a bunch of like pots and pans just enclosed, so I was like trying to like flatten it out so I could see out my back window. So now it's just gonna all be bedding, and I won't have to worry about that, and it will be a double bed sleeping situation, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most, especially for tree planting. I'm gonna actually sleep really good, hopefully. Hopefully I'm not jinxing that. I also got a rooftop carrier that I'm hoping to carry a majority of my stuff in, like my clothing and anything else that I need to kind of carry, and that's gonna help out so significantly. It's like a little bachelor apartment. I'm excited. Yeah, so I got that, and honestly, I was preparing to spend like a good amount of money on building out the back and my rooftop carrier, because if you've looked at those things or know someone that has them, I mean, the ones that aren't even like full are, you know, 600 to, I mean, multiple hundred. If you look at those things or know someone that has a rooftop carrier, they range from anything like $600 plus. And I was ready to drop that if I needed to, because it's something that I can only see worth having. And I also knew I was going to spend money on the building at the back, because wood right now is like so expensive. And yeah, so I was expecting to drop like a solid, you know, grand and a half, but thankfully, I love my grandpa so much, he had some plywood, and we're working with some pretty scrappy wood. But it's also not about the aesthetics. It's about why am I building it? So I can sleep on it. So it doesn't matter if we're using things around the garage and around the yard, and it's really nice that he's helping me out with that. So I'm saving a lot of money from doing that, going to places like the Restore. The roof carrier I got on Facebook Marketplace for $50. $50. It's a Carite one, and it's massive. It's my whole roof. Like, it's not even half. It's my whole roof. Like, I could carry all my thrift store sweaters, but I must control myself, because it's not just for clothing. I have to limit what I'm carrying with me. So I got that, and I spent $50 on it. Now we have to get crafty with it, because my roof racks are really wide. They're like 4 inches, and the hardware that this roof carrier came with, they're like 2 inches. So my grandpa is customizing these U-bolts, and so he like cut them and is welding them to the width that I need. So for $50, that's pretty good. Maybe don't drive behind me on the Trans-Canada, but just kidding. That is what is my plan for the current build. Right now we have the platform built. I keep referencing back there, and I'll show you what it looks like. But it was kind of trial and error. Like, we have this first cut, but we're thinking maybe finding some more plywood, because the shape of the back of my trunk is really wonky and specific, so we want it to be a little bit more snug. Another thing that I really want to prioritize with this build is protecting the interior, because honestly, it's not like I'm trying to do something really fucking, you know, sketchy in a pretty nice car. Like, the interior is nice leather, and I'm just like throwing some shaggy wood in there, and I noticed there's a few spots where the leather is already kind of like scruffed up, so I really want to make sure that I'm like protecting the interior of my car. So my top 5 things that I like about Beans, and that are my absolute favorite, is number 1, the screen. So like I said before, that was like all I was kind of looking for. I had rented a car on the East Coast that had Apple Play, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this. I just need a car with this. So that was like my one thing going into the car dealership. I was like, it has to have a screen. So it has Apple CarPlay. It's so groovy. Second favorite thing is the seat warmers. My buns are so toasty. Oh, and it has a steering wheel warmer, which is so nice, because my hands are just so numb all the time. Like, they get so cold so easily. And also too, like, there's nothing better. Like if you're sore from a workout or something and you just crank the seat warmers, it's therapeutic, really. So anyway, yeah, the heated seats, my favorite. 3, I love this thing right here. I love my, what is it called? Is it a sunroof? I think so. Yeah. Roof window. I love my roof window. Oh my gosh, I also love my back my hatch wipey. I love my little wiper thing. I really wanted a little one of those because they just go like this while it's raining. It's so adorable. The sound system. The freaking sound system in this car is a hazard, really, because after doing so much driving, like going out west and back, I was listening to so much music. That was my lifeline, and I was listening to it so loud that for at least like a week after I got back from that trip, my ears were just ringing, and I was like, wow, this is so weird. Like, I wonder why my ears are ringing, and it's because I was just blasting the fuck out of my eardrums. So the sound system is really good, and that makes a difference, because honestly, I just bought a car so I could drive around and listen to music. So, yeah, the way she drives. That's my number 5. I have driven now through a lot of different places and terrain and in various weather conditions, and I get cocky, you know? I'm like, Subaru. I felt so safe driving through the Rockies when it was snowing. I'm a nervous driver. Like, honestly, before driving out west, the longest I've ever driven is like 5 hours in total, like in one session. Like, I didn't even want to drive to my neighboring city before this trip, and then I don't know what came over me. Sometimes I just feel like I gotta go do something crazy. So yeah, and so after driving around in like a lot of different conditions, it drives so good. So that's nice, and she's fast. Okay, so it's the end of the video now. Can you guys guess why my car is named Beans? Look at the color of this interior, man. It reminds me of molasses beans in a can. Yeah. That's why I named my Subaru Outback Beans. Now you know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more of these interesting, captivating videos by me. There will be definitely more to come. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, week / year.